Hi everyone. Today we're going to be talking about the structure of an informative speech. Specifically, we're going to talk about all the different parts of an informative speech, and we're also going to talk about how you might choose a topic for your informative speech. And we'll wrap up with the writing of the purpose statement and central idea for that speech. So let's get started. Now, an informative speech is made up of 4 parts: an attention getter, a general introduction and preview of the speech, a body with supporting details, and a conclusion. So let's break each one of those down a little bit. The attention getter. What's the purpose of the attention getter? It's literally to get everyone's attention, to tell everyone, hey, listen to me. It's time to pay attention to my speech. You can achieve that goal a number of different ways. For example, you could ask some sort of rhetorical question. Suppose you wanted to give a speech on how to install a home security system. You might begin that speech with a question like, what would you do if you pulled up to your house and saw the front door standing wide open? Would you walk in? Would you call the police? What would you do? That would be a great way to get everyone's attention, get them thinking about home security, and start your speech off on the right foot. Maybe you could tell a dramatic or suspenseful story. What if your speech was on how sinkholes happen? You could begin a speech like that with a story about a fellow named Jeffrey Bush. He was a Florida man who was in bed asleep one night when a giant sinkhole opened up below his house, swallowing part of the house and him in it, killing him. That dramatic story would be a great way to talk about sinkholes. Maybe you could use a quote or a joke to begin your speech. What if you wanted to do a speech on the majesty of the Grand Canyon? You could begin a speech like that with a wonderful quote about the Grand Canyon. For example, Jerry Smith Reddy said, "Beautiful doesn't describe it. A flower is beautiful, but this is beautiful the way a person is beautiful, terrifying with its jagged edges, yet seductive with its crevices that hide so many secrets." What a wonderful poetic description for the Grand Canyon, and what a great way to begin a speech. You could also startle your audience in your attention getter with some sort of piece of data or a fact to arouse their curiosity. Maybe you're going to give a speech on the dangers of lead. And you could begin with a terrible statistic like this, that 350 schools across the United States tested unsafe for lead levels in their drinking water. Or you could talk about how 20% of the water's water systems are contaminated with lead. Those startling statistics could really bring home an idea like lead poisoning to an audience. Now, the next thing you want to do is, after you've gotten everyone's attention, is introduce your topic. After you've gotten everyone's attention, then you want to give the purpose of your speech, including some sort of preview of the body. You want to explain to your audience right away what this speech is about. Then you want to explain to your audience why they should listen to you regarding the topic. What is it that qualifies you to speak? Do you have experience with sinkholes? Have you been working in a lab that tests for lead in drinking water? Did you go on a wonderful vacation to the Grand Canyon? What is it that makes you knowledgeable about this particular topic? Now, what you need to understand is, even though the introduction is said at the beginning of your speech, you should really write the introduction after you've written the rest of the speech, because you can't introduce a topic until you know what the topic is. So really write the body of your speech first, and then figure out a great way to introduce it. Talking about the body is the bulk of your speech. That's where most of your speech takes place. About 10% of your body about 10% of your speech will be the attention getter and the introduction. and about 10% of your speech will be the conclusion. The other 80% of your speech is going to be the body. It's the bulk of the speech. It tells you, it's where you actually give the information that you're trying to share. Organization in the body is critical. You have to think very carefully about how you want to organize your information. Are you going to set it up chronologically? Are you going to set it up by topic? How are you going to organize everything? When you're doing a short speech, like 4 or 5 minutes, which is what you're going to be doing for this class, then only 2 or 3 major points are needed. Then you need to balance your time and emphasize your topics evenly. So if you've got 3 points in your speech, each one of those 3 points should be given pretty much equal time. Now, regardless of what your topics are in your speech, you have to have lots and lots of support. You have to have evidence from outside sources. You have to have expert testimony, great anecdotes and stories, wonderful data, anything that you can pull together to help support and lend credence to your topic. And finally, in your body, you need to connect the parts of your body together to make everything flow very well. So pay attention to transitional phrases that connect from one part of the speech to the next. Finally, the conclusion. The conclusion is where you wrap things up. You always transition to the conclusion, signaling that you're getting toward the end. You would say things like, in conclusion, or my final thoughts are, or something like that, in order to tell your audience, hey, I'm wrapping up here. During your conclusion, you'll need to reinforce the central idea of the purpose statement that you iterated at the beginning of your speech in your introduction. By all means, keep your conclusion brief and never, ever, ever go over new material in a conclusion. Your conclusion should never have new information. It just should recap the old information and tie a bow on it. Always, always end strong. So let's talk a little bit about possible topics for the informative speech. Well, an informative speech is giving information. You are teaching your audience something. So go to the internet for some ideas. Why not? Remember, this is not a persuasive speech. You are not trying to make an argument. You're not trying to take a side on something. You're simply lecturing or giving information about something. Maybe your topic could be a person. Maybe you love Mark Zuckerberg or Sofia Vergara, and you want to tell us a little bit about them, some special accomplishment they had. Maybe you want to talk about a place, your hometown, the Grand Canyon. Maybe you love Mars. Tell us about those things. You could tell us about a thing like a drone or a smartphone, or maybe you're a rock hound and you love rocks and you want to tell us and get us excited about a certain geological idea. Maybe you have celebrated a specific event like Yom Kippur, the Chinese New Year. Maybe you are a history buff and love to tell about the assassination of President Lincoln. Whatever it is that you want to do. You could talk about fracking or beekeeping, some sort of process. You could talk about bioethics, sustainability, some sort of concept. You could talk about a natural phenomenon like that sinkhole we talked about earlier. Or you could talk about a problem like campus crime or drug addiction or something like that. Remember, informative speech are giving information, not opinion. When you settle on an idea for an informative speech, then it's time for you to write a purpose statement. Think about what you can accomplish in just 4 to 5 minutes. What is it that you can explain in 4 to 5 minutes? Maybe you want to just do an overview of your topic, or maybe you just want to take one aspect of your topic and flesh it out a little bit. So think about what you can accomplish in 4 to 5 minutes. Make sure that your purpose is not too trivial or basic for your audience. You don't want to tell your audience stuff they already know. Tell them something that they don't know. Adjust your purpose so it's less trivial or select something different. Make sure that your purpose isn't too technical. If you're going to tell me about brain surgery, you're going to have to sort of dumb it down for me. So make sure that whatever your technical jargon is limited. Now, once you have sort of thought about those ideas, then it's time to write your purpose statement. Your purpose statement is comprised of two basic sentences. There is a general purpose sentence, and then there's a central idea sentence. The general purpose sentence is a general description of your topic. It always, always, always begins with the phrase, "The purpose of my speech is to inform my audience, blah, blah, blah." The central idea takes and fleshes out that purpose a little bit more. It gives a few specific details on how you will accomplish your purpose. For example, suppose your speech was about growing the beautiful flower irises. You could say, "The purpose of my speech is to inform my audience how to grow irises." Your central idea will be, "I will discuss how to choose the proper site and prepare the soil, how to plant and nurture the rhizomes to maturity, and how to separate and propagate the new plants." So here in this example, I'm showing you sort of an outline of how I'm going to teach my audience how to grow irises in a chronological order. Preparing the site, planting and nurturing the plants, and separating and propagating the species once they've matured. So that it gives you a real nutshell of what the speech is about and how it's going to accomplish it. So that's about it. What I want you to do now is spend a little bit of time talking to friends, talking to family, and checking out the internet and picking a great topic. Then once you've picked a great topic, start working on that basic structure. That's it. Thanks.